Alright, so welcome back to the second episode of our podcast, the Midnight Prata Sessions. Okay, music stop. Okay, so I was just having a very interesting conversation with Dominic just now, and so we were just talking about the correlation, right, between giving, receiving, and happiness. Alright,
Okay.
so I mean, like, over the couple of days, I had some experience which made me come to a very interesting revelation, right? And at this point, right, I want you, right, and you guys who are listening, right, to think about the happiest moment ever in your entire life. The very day that you were the most happy and you were like, wow, super excited, super happy. Do you have one, Dom?
Yeah.
What was it?
Not the happiest per se, but one of the happiest.
One of the happiest.
So for me, that was the day that I got my 2B motorbike license.
Shit. Me too, man. Me too. Like the day. So I don't know. I think we took the license about the same time, right?
2009.
I can still vividly remember the moment.
Yeah, me too.
Your number cannot be called. If they call your number, you go out of the room, you fail.
Yeah.
And when this person finished calling the list, my number was not called. Oh my God, I tell you, the happiness is crazy.
Yeah, and cannot describe.
Cannot
Really,
describe, right?
Yeah.
So, when sometimes I just sit around and I retrospect certain things in life, right? And I just thought about this. So, it just occurred to me, has it ever occurred to you, like, the reason why we're so happy getting the motorbike license is because we worked for it. We worked for it, right?
There's that aspect to it, and there's also we had to wait till we are 18.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
So there was an element of we had to wait till we were 18.
Correct.
There was an element of we worked for it. What are the elements
And
were
also,
there for
there's
you?
something very symbolic. I mean, to a certain extent, it represents like freedom. Suddenly you can go around anywhere you
it
want.
represents freedom.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like all along you didn't have, and then suddenly you have. So there was a spike of emotions because all of a sudden from 0 to 100. Is that what you're saying?
Something like that. Yes.
Something like that, right? So I fully agree with you, right? So when we're talking about the correlation between giving, receiving, and happiness, right? So I was just thinking, let's say if you have a kid today, right? And I think it's a very common blind spot for a lot of parents, right? We tend to want to give our kids everything, especially the things that we didn't have when we are young. Am I right to say? I'm sure a lot of parents would agree.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, right? Just imagine, both of us have this similar experience. One of the most happiest days of our lives was when we got our motorbike license.
Yes.
Based on those contributing factors that you said just now.
Yeah.
There was element of waiting. There was element of freedom. There was element of working for it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So can you imagine if you were born in a third world country? I'm so tempted to say Malaysia. Cannot say Malaysia. Malaysia is not really third world country.
No, okay.
Okay, let's just say
Let's say Malaysia.
Malaysia.
Okay?
Let's say you were born in Malaysia,
Mhm.
right? Where riding a motorbike is very common, right? A lot of people, they don't even have license and they can ride motorbikes.
Yeah, kids over there, right?
Kids
motorbikes.
could
Yeah.
ride motorbike as long as you're, 12, 13
Not
years old?
legally lah.
Not
but
legally,
they still
but they
do lah,
still
yeah.
can ride motorbike, right? So you see, for them to ride motorbikes, there is no elements of whatever we talk about. There was no waiting. There was no need to work for it. The motorbike is just there. You just ride it. So
Yeah, okay.
effectively, what we didn't have as Singaporeans, which is we need the legal license to ride a motorbike, right? Those elements that you talk about just now contributed to us being so happy. So which leads me to thinking, if as parents, right, we keep giving to our kids based on what we feel and what we think is best, are we depriving them of their happiness that they could potentially have if they had worked for it, if they had wait for it, if they had like a sense of freedom from 0 to nothing, basically, right? So that was kind of like the little thing I was thinking about. What do you think?
I think I sort of get where you're coming from, but the the reference that you made, with regards to parenting, and of course, every parent will, very naturally want to give the best to their ability to the kid, right?
Yes.
And most of the time, it will be related to how we were parented.
Yep.
So we sort of know what how we don't want to act as a parent.
Yeah.
Or how, what we were deprived of. Then whatever we were deprived of, okay, then that's something that I want to give to my kid consciously, right?
Yeah. So we consciously give to our kids what we didn't have.
Yes, what we wanted,
what
right?
we wanted
Not
but couldn't get when we were kids,
Correct.
right? But the thing is, right, are we doing this from a very selfish perspective? Because think about this for a moment, right? When you give to your kid what you didn't have when you were young, you feel good. But your kids are not going to experience that same kind of happiness that you felt when you got your motorbike license. What do you think about that?
I think there's a very fine line.
Yeah, it is a very fine line. It is a very fine line. And that is the reason why, when we talk about it, right, we put it on our conscious mind that actually such a thing is happening. And as parents, if we are like doing parenting and stuff like that, this could very easily be something that is a blind spot to all of us, right? Like, I think just now you made a comment saying that as parents, we like to live through our kids the life that we kind of didn't have.
Yes, sort of, yeah.
So
we as parents now, especially, now I have a kid, right? So definitely, everything I do, I try to do it for the best of the kid, right?
Okay, wait, but you didn't answer the question. You do it for the best of the kid. Is it done based on how you feel, or did you think holistically this really is what the kid should have?
Actually, I would say yes,
Yes, what?
Yeah. So it wouldn't be just purely, okay, I didn't get this when I was a kid, so I'm gonna give it to my kid now. It's not. I'm going to spoil my kid because in this way, because that was how I wanted to be spoiled.
Yep.
Not really. I think at the end of the day, okay lah. Maybe this applies to me, but I think parenting it's a very
Personal thing.
personal, and also it's having a kid is like having a project, right?
Okay, yeah,
But
I agree.
you don't get to redo the project. If you screw up, you don't get a second chance at it.
That's it, man.
So you tend to, of course, there are many subconscious things that you don't really think about,
Of course,
like TV time and
exactly.
tidbits and stuff like that.
And whenever they cry, you give the iPad, then they become dependent on it.
Sort of. So yes, I get where you're coming from, but I think the more critical decisions we do, or rather, I think I will most parents will think about it holistically. It's not just as simple as, I want to,
Hey, dude, I think if you talk to a lot of people, right, really that is, I see a lot of parents, they do that. It becomes their blind spot. Especially parents who feel a certain sense of guilt towards their kids. Like an example, right, they're working too hard, right? The kids want to spend time, they don't have time. Or the parents who travel a lot, and they feel bad, like I couldn't give time to my kids, hence I give something else. Example, or maybe I have one kid and I feel bad that my kid doesn't have a brother or sister to play with. So I overcompensate by doing what we talked about just now, by overgiving, to the extent where it desensitizes the feeling of receiving. Right? It desensitizes and it just is like, and it gets to the point where, it's like you say, it's a subconscious thing. Maybe as a parent, you feel so good. Like, wow, I give my kid all this and that. You see your kid have or not, my kid have. but at the end of the day, like, is it doing, like, will the kid still be as happy as if, like, us?
I think you're just setting the bar higher.
Yeah, you're setting the bar high.
So the kids'
expectation.
Yes, expectation. The kids'
reality.
Yeah, reality is that to really feel happy,
Yeah.
the simpler joys in life are a little bit harder to experience.
Yeah. And which brings me to this next point, right? I think it's very dangerous if the kid is used to a level of comfort and receiving things beyond what they can afford. Let's say, for example, I can easily afford a $500 haircut for my kid, right? And every time my kid wants the haircut, $500, right? And when a kid grows up, goes to work, and start to realize like, wow, actually $500 is not that easy to earn. I'm not going to spend it on haircut. But this kid is already kind of used to $500 haircuts.
Mm-hmm.
So that becomes dangerous because now...
Yeah, but that's just because you're really overdoing a $500 haircut.
Well, I'm just giving an example. Because you see, like you said, your kid is a project, right?
Yeah.
Maybe to you, $50 haircut is okay. But how do you know your kid, when they grow up, they can afford $50 haircut? They might not.
Well, even if they could, I would hope they wouldn't.
Even if they what?
Even if they could, I would hope they wouldn't, splash on this kind of thing, unless it's really...
Yeah, so yeah, it's a very... Yeah, sometimes I see actually you brought across this point which I didn't ever thought about, like, your kid is a one-time project. If you screw it up, you literally screw it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that also is a contributing factor. Sometimes as parents, we just hold on to it so tight. We don't want to screw it up, so we just do our best. So that's that I feel is a blind spot because we do our best, right? But it's our best. But is it best for the kid?
I think, yes, you would want to provide the best that you can for your kid so that, ultimately your kid, has the best lah.
Yeah.
But I think where the lines get blurred is when you overdo it.
Okay.
Like, okay, just give an example. Like, let's say enrichment classes.
Okay.
They are really very expensive nowadays.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For someone who can afford it,
Yeah.
is sending your kid to, tons of enrichment classes a bad thing?
I think it is.
Really? But you get to develop the kid, in of course you don't force, right? You don't force it.
Yeah.
If let's say the kid says, hey, I don't enjoy this, then okay, fine.
I think, let me tell you what I think it is. Because the kid is dependent on a source of help that requires a huge amount of money, which they might or might not be able to afford in the future. And they get used, like I said, they get used to a certain level of comfort. So imagine, right, as a kid, your grade sucks. And when your grade sucks, you get beaten by your parents. And one way out is the parents spending thousands of dollars to send you for enrichment class. And your grade starts to get better. So maybe the kid doesn't see, why do I need to study so hard in class? Why do I need to listen to the teacher in class? Anyway,
but from a parent's point of view, you want to put your kid ahead of others as much as you can, right? Because it's again, you have to benchmark against the rest of the kids, right? So it becomes raising the bar again, like the bottom, what is acceptable has now, it's not the norm anymore to just go to school and then if you cannot make it in class, then okay,
you go for tuition.
But if you go for enrichment classes, you stand a chance, and who knows, it might not work all the time, but who knows, maybe in future their grades get better.
So basically we're taking chances and hoping for the best.
Of course, because like I said, right,
it's a one-time project.
It's a one-time project. You don't get to redo. You don't get to make the same choice. If let's say he screwed up in primary 3, primary 4, that is it, right?
Yeah.
To make up for it in future, it will be a lot tougher.
Yeah.
So I don't think the child's happiness is in that way affected lah. But I do understand where you're coming from, where we have set the bar higher. There are lesser little joys in life. Yeah.
It's a lot more than you think. It's a lot more than what you just said. Lesser joy in life is a lot. I really feel like it's a lot because I don't know, like the happiest day of my life, and for your life, one of the happiest was getting the motorbike license. And I'm pretty sure if you dig very deep and you think, a lot of the happiest moments Actually, because of the factors that you talk about. Because you didn't have, suddenly you have. You didn't have, you work for it, you saw the
So
result.
it's something like an achievement lah.
And achievement.
It's like attaining some whatever achievement or
achievement.
Some form of success.
Some form of success. Yeah. Yeah, but you see the kid, let's say if a kid is so used to receiving, right? Then to them it's like, why do I need to have this form of success? Because even if I don't, I'm still happy and comfortable. I'm still getting this level of comfort from my parents. You know? Like, okay, like even, I don't know about you, but for me, that was what happened to me, because I didn't have anything. Zero.
Well, it wasn't that bad for me lah, but I wasn't really spoiled that much as a kid. But is that happiness?
What is happiness?
Is that feeling, or is that emotion that you're referring to, is that necessarily happiness?
It is. Like, are you not super crazy happy when you got a bike license? And just now as we talk, we crystallize the contributing factors to what made us happy. And that is something that you will deprive your kids of if you give it to them just like that. That will really be the contributing factor. Like let's say now I stay in a landed house, right? And if my kid stays in a landed house, next time when they buy their own landed house, the joy I don't think will be the same.
No, in fact, I think when the reality comes and they have to buy their own house and they realize that, wow, actually I grew up in a landed house.
Mm-hmm. And then?
That is not easy. How did my father do it? Let's say they purchase their first, let's say a BTO, right?
Let's say a BTO.
And it's a few $100,000. It is already quite taxing for most people.
Yep.
Right, then they realize, hey, wow, I grew up in a landed house, in a private property.
Yeah, but
how did I do? How did my dad do it? How did my mom do it?
But that isn't happiness.
Well, but it gives them a perspective, right?
Did it give you a perspective?
They will appreciate it.
Did you give you a perspective? I mean, your parents stayed in a condo last time.
Yeah.
And now looking back, does it give you a new perspective?
Well, everything only gets appreciated most of the time in hindsight, right?
Yeah, so now on hindsight, right, would you rather that feeling of like you got the motorbike license, that same feeling, that same happiness feeling, versus...
No, but it's very different because now I have not yet achieved it. Right? Mm-hmm. I think it wouldn't matter, at the end of the day, it wouldn't matter whether I grew up in a landed property or a condo, that when the day that I buy my own condo or buy my own landed property, I would still feel, that sense of achievement.
You would.
It doesn't dampen that feeling of achievement.
That's interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
In fact, now that you have to go through it yourself personally, I think you learn to appreciate it a little bit more lah.
Okay.
It's just that feeling of living in a condo or landed property will not be foreign to you because you kind of grew up in it. I think that's the sort of the bloodline lah, right? Whether
I know.
Or is it
like
do you take things for granted?
You do get that sense of achievement, but it's not that happy because, like you said just now, right? Happiness is when you didn't have, and then you have. From when you zero, like when you couldn't ride a bike from 0 to 15 to 16, all the way up to 18, was the time that you could take your license. Before that, you want to ride bike, you see your friends riding bike, but you cannot. You gotta wait and you finally got it. Above and beyond that sense of achievement that you also can tell me how to describe that feeling. It's even happier than me getting my first girlfriend or making my first $1,000. How do I explain?
This particular situation, getting your first motorbike license is more symbolic than it actually is lah, right? Because 18, independent, you're going through that age, and then you get that sort of a little bit more freedom. You can go around. Yeah. Back then, motorbikes were so cheap, $1,000.
Exactly.
Right? So, yeah, it's a little bit different from what you're describing now. I think. Okay, then how about this? how would you define happiness?
How would I define happiness? Define happiness. Wow. It's like okay. I mean, physically, of course, we have your heartbeat starts to go up, and then that's all you could think about, and at that point, you just feel like that is the only thing in the world that matters, right? And it's I've never thought about how to define happiness, but everybody's definition is different. That's my definition. Like ultra excitement. In the moment, I just feel like, wow, this is it. This is it. That is happiness to me. What about you?
Happiness is just an emotion or a feeling that is sort of in a way measurable on a scale, right? 1 being just normal, happy, and 10 being, bloody elated,
Okay.
right? And there are many underlying factors to happiness. I think the underlying factors of happiness it's circumstantial. It changes as you go into different phases in your life. But I think it's a very how you define happiness now will be,
Different from how you define
happiness.
I guess as you're saying this, right, I just had a thought. Like, could happiness be a state of mind?
Well, it's a feeling, right? So yes, it's a state of mind.
It's a state of mind. So even if you are broke as hell, you can still be happy.
Yes, to a certain extent.
Yeah, even if happiness is a choice. It's a state of mind.
I would say, okay, the underlying factors contributing to happiness, right? I think there's like a weighing scale. On one side of it, you have resources, right? No matter how you want to look at it, resources plays a huge part in attaining happiness. Right. People say money can't buy happiness. Well, it's a whole lot easier to be happy with a lot of money than without money lah. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. Right. So resources not only being money, it will be time.
So
it'll be wealth. It'll be health. And it'll be time.
For sure.
Right. And then to balance it out, it will be the expectations you have of yourself. Yeah. So that expectation will definitely change as you go, as you progress, in life. Yeah. The expectation now will be, as a young person now, 30s. Yeah. My career and stuff like that. But as you move on in life, as your kid gets older, as you get older, and your resources become a bit less significant in a different ratio, right? You might have more money, but now you have a lot less time.
Yep, a little less health.
Yeah, and a lot less health. The problems might start to come. Yep. The expectation of that
happiness, you just want to be happy.
Exactly, will change.
Healthy, just want to be healthy.
So, I think that is something that we don't really think about enough.
Yeah. You know what? Speaking of this, right, I just had this very interesting experience that day so at the supermarket, and I just had this thought, right? When, let's say today somebody curse at you, hey, Dom, you're a fucker, and you get angry. Okay. Who caused the anger?
Well, he triggered something that...
he triggered. The person scolding you triggered. Who caused the anger?
Well, that's a tough one.
It's a tough one, right? Wait, before you answer that question, do you remember I always have this theory about what's contributing factor versus a determining factor?
Okay, yes.
So is it fair to say that the person scolding you is a contributing factor?
Yeah.
But what determines the anger?
It's my perception.
It's your perception. So basically, you cause you to be angry. But every time people say, "Yo, that person made me angry, that person made me angry." But in actual fact, that person contributed, right? But you could have choose to not be angry. Have you ever thought about it?
Well,
I know it's ironic, but it's the truth, you know. Like, it's the truth. Because you know what an orange is?
Okay. Yes.
If today I say, Dom, you're orange, you're an orange, you're an orange, how do you feel? You don't feel anything. Because the word orange means nothing to you. Like, you'd be like
It's
wondering,
not an insult lah.
what the hell? Why is this person like? It doesn't even affect you.
Mm-mm.
So the meaning you gave to the word fuck is the thing that affected you. Because to you, fuck is a bad word. If you didn't tag that negative connotation to the word fuck, maybe the word fuck is like orange to you. Like, Dom, you're an orange. Dom, you're an orange. You don't feel anything. So actually, what determines your anger, your upset, your happiness, it's you. It's nothing else. It's nobody else. Don't you think? Like, it's just a thought that I got the other day, and I just thought, can you imagine, like, if we can control our emotions like that? Because it's really entirely up to us. And very often, right, in our mind, our subconscious mind, we always say, oh yeah, that person make us angry, that person screw up, that's why I'm angry, that person, it's always that thing, because raining, that's why I'm angry. But actually, you determine your anger. Don't you agree?
I think you don't really get to control that emotion that you feel, but you get to control how you deal with it.
You are not wrong, because when emotion comes, it comes.
Right.
When emotion comes, it does come. It just hits you like a wave. Like when the wind blow, it just blow.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. But how do you react? I
Yeah,
guess
how you deal with it,
if you can look at it as, I just take it as he's calling me an apple or an orange, like doesn't mean anything. Like you told me before, if somebody calls you a fat fuck, you don't care, right?
Yeah lah,
But maybe in your younger days, you might care, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
So what changed?
The perception, no?
The perception that being fat is okay.
No, but you sort of get used to it, and then, and it also depends on who does it, who says it.
So,
right?
So if it's somebody that you don't like call you fat fuck,
then definitely I'll be very offended lah, right? No?
So that's the question. Who offended you? Who offended you?
Okay.
Actually, you offended you because that person contributed, but you determine you are the determining factor that I'm going to be angry. Because if it was your friend calling you a fat fuck, you'd be like, fat fuck, you also fat fuck.
But it depends on the intent also. The guy, hey, you fat fuck, malicious intent, then of course, naturally, right, you don't get to control that emotion that you feel.
You don't get to control the emotion. But once you recognize that the emotion is here, right?
Then you deal with it differently lah.
You can deal with it differently.
Yeah lah. So that's dealing with the emotion lah.
Dealing with the emotion.
Yeah, it's different from not feeling it at all lah.
For sure. Because we're humans, we definitely feel something.
Yeah.
So is it a state of mind? That's my point. Like, happiness is a state of mind. Is it a state of mind? Can you choose to be happy even when shit happens?
I think as long as you lower your expectations of anything, it's easier to be happy. Right? Like,
Gary Vee says that a lot. The reason why he's never angry is because he has no expectation. He takes everything on himself. Have you heard that? Gary Vee says that a lot.
Not really.
Okay.
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah. Says that a lot.
But it's true, right? If you have a lower expectation of
that's true.
Then chances are you won't get disappointed as often, and also you'll be.
You just made a very good point. Wait. So the higher expectation, the harder it is for you to be happy.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes.
That's point number one. Okay. So just now you said, right, that as we raise our kids and we keep giving our kids, we're actually raising their expectation.
Are we?
Yeah, just now you said that. Because when we give and give, their level of expectation of comfort, a level of expectation for the haircut, $500 haircut, remember? It becomes that new level, that new reality, that new norm, right?
Understand.
So isn't that what we talk about just like at the start of the conversation? That we are depriving them of their happiness because we raised it to the bar where they might or might not be able to fulfill in the future.
Okay, now that you put it this way then.
Yeah, right. So sometimes when you talk it out and it really, yeah. So the kids these days.
So I think this two-pronged. One is that it's a lot easier for them to feel disappointed in not being able to attain something, which was initially already actually quite hard to begin with. But because you have set the bar so high, then now it becomes the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
but does it also equate to if they do then attain that whatever bar that you have set, are they necessarily happier than if the bar was set lower?
I don't know, because I don't have like very well-to-do parents, and then after that I chase after their bar. I will not be able to answer that. But I guess just now through the conversations, right, we made quite a few very valid points. Higher expectation, the harder it is for you to be happy. Am I right?
Yeah.
And as kids who don't know anything, they just keep getting what you couldn't have. Because remember, we established the point, as parents, we usually want our kids to have what we couldn't have in the past. So their level of expectation is already higher than their abilities. It's no longer in sync. Can you imagine? Maybe their ability is here, and their level of expectation is here because of the parents giving, right? So this gap here, if the kid managed to get there, maybe they feel an achievement. But like you say, it's a one-time project. If they don't, they're disappointed. They might not be used to it.
But I think their perception of satisfaction or, whatever, level of achievement they think they have attained is also relevant, directly to their peers, right? It's just like saying, it's just like, let's say, growing up in landed property.
Okay.
How much more achievable was it, in our parents' time?
Wow.
Definitely a lot more achievable.
Okay,
right?
we can say it's a lot more achievable, but we wouldn't know.
Well, okay, maybe.
We wouldn't know really.
Yeah,
because the price tag is a lot smaller. Of course, we think it's a lot more achievable.
And also, their income wasn't exactly that much smaller. It definitely was smaller, but the prices of everything now has inflated way past that.
Crazy price.
So I would assume, okay, let's say buying a condo or buying a landed property was a lot more achievable.
Yeah. Like
your parents
were like freaking teachers, right? Teachers also.
My mom was a civil servant.
Your mom was a civil servant, also can buy like a 3 over million condo.
No lah. That was when they bought it wasn't a few $1 million. But anyway, okay, my point is, if they, they compare to their peers. If back then in our parents' days, everyone could, more or less afford at least, a 5-room flat, condo or whatever. It's just a matter of time. But in our generation now, it's going to be a lot harder. But you wouldn't necessarily feel that disappointed because, as long as your peers are, not everybody is outperforming you, then you don't feel that bad. Right? And if you have outperformed your peers, then okay, maybe I might not be able to buy a landed property. At this age, at 35, 40, buying a $3-4 million property is quite hard, right?
Yep.
But if you attain, maybe a $1.5 million condo, you still outperform your peers, then yes, I think the kid will definitely still have, some level of happiness.
Okay, I do see where you're coming from. I'm just wondering if, because, okay, what you said takes a certain level of resilience. It takes a certain level of the kid wanting to do it, wanting to catch up with the peers, wanting to, have a better lifestyle as compared to the peers. It takes a certain level of wanting, right? Which I fear it's a trait that might not be evident in the coming generation. Because they're so used to receiving, there is no need to want more.
No, I don't think so.
I that's how I feel.
I think as,
that's how I feel.
As with everything, we will only experience it when the time comes.
Fair,
And
very
things
true,
are
very true.
changing so much faster than they have been changing.
Yeah,
Right. So in the next 20 years, the amount of change relative to the past 20 years is going to be
definitely
50 times, 100 times more.
100% sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't think we can sort of benchmark
Yeah.
how they feel against how we feel.
Yep.
It's just like how we don't parent our kids, how we were parented, because the times that we face and the times that our kids face are absolutely, worlds apart.
Yeah, for sure.
So we have to be forward thinking enough to and try to anticipate as best as we can.
Let me ask you a question. Do you like the way you turn out?
Do I like the way I turn out?
Yeah. I would for me. I wouldn't have it any other way. I really like.
Yeah,
the way I
well,
turn out.
you're doing very well now and everything.
But do you like the way you? No. I'm not talking about doing well now in terms of finances. I'm talking about mindset, character, attitude. How I look at things. But do you like the way you turn out?
I wouldn't know, because I have nothing to.
No, now. Do you like the way you turn out now? Do you like who you are
But
now?
I don't know any other version.
No, it doesn't
me,
matter.
right?
You just have matters that do you like who you are now because of your upbringing? That's the question. Because of your upbringing, right? Your mother must have disciplined you, taught you certain things, certain values, which caused you to be who you are now today. Do you like who you are now?
I guess, yeah.
You like who you are now?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Which then again is a very interesting point. Because if we like who we are now, why would we change the way we parent our kids? Because your mother must have done something right, taught you certain values, groom you in a certain way for you to be who you are today, for you to like who you are now. Why would we go and alter that recipe, I'm not saying that it's bad or good or anything, right? But at least you like who you are now. That's important, right?
But I think
I'm talking about fundamentals.
Character.
Character. I'm talking about fundamentals. I'm not talking about like using a 30-year ago upbringing technique on today, but I'm just talking about the fundamentals.
Yeah, I think fundamentals.
Like our parents would, I don't know about you, but back then was definitely not so affluent, much stricter.
Yeah, of course.
Much stricter and so you see, I'm sure a lot of people like who they are. If not, they wouldn't have kids, what?
Yeah.
Correct, because you like who you are, you're doing already, so you want to have kids, right? And then your parents must have done something right for you to be at this level. And then in the new generation parents' mind, we want to give our kids what we didn't have. So aren't we kind of like altering the whole recipe to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, has it ever occurred to you?
There's no perfect recipe, so
There
we're
is
just
no
trying to
perfect.
do something, do better. Do better.
Yeah.
And not necessarily change,
Yeah.
but we want to do better, lor.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, so I guess the do better also, like the question I asked is now, right? Is it better for us as we feel good as a parent? Or is it really like better for the kid itself,
Ultimately, we still want the best for the kid, lah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We definitely want the best for the kid, but it's like it's a thin line, It's like people who do charity and post on social media. The intention is, hello, look at me, I'm doing charity. Versus somebody who does charity, who really wants to do charity. And as selfish as it may sound, correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe every parent, to a certain degree, have that, hey, come look at me feeling. Like, I do this for my kid because I just want to feel like, I want to give.
I don't think so. I don't agree.
Really don't think so?
I don't agree.
Okay. Maybe we should do ask around. This is a good question. This is a good question to, like when you meet someone new, you just, hey, talk about this. I'm pretty sure the results will be quite interesting. And when you said you don't really agree, right? Think really deep. Like, do you not agree because it doesn't make sense to feel that way? Or is it really, really true?
Your question was whether whatever we're doing or providing for our kids...
Is there an element of you wanting to feel good as a parent, that's why you do it?
Me wanting to feel good as a parent.
Yeah, to do it. example, I want to hao lian to all my friends. I can afford $500 haircut for my kid.
No leh.
But I never think about
really. Not even a little leh.
Not even a little.
Not
Okay.
even a little.
So I guess it's a very interesting perspective. Yeah, we can talk about it in the next podcast session. Yeah, but I guess would you so in conclusion, would you say that happiness is a state of mind? Yes or no?
Circumstantial state of mind.
Circumstantial state of
Because
mind.
you get to alter it.
Fair enough. The next question is, do we both agree, or maybe we have different perspective, like when somebody angers you, that person is a contributing factor. That person is not the determining factor is you. Do you agree?
Agree?
Right?
But it's
I know it's hard, like
damn tough to do.
damn tough, because when emotion comes, it comes. You just want to punch that person.
Yeah. I mean, you don't get to control, like I said just now, you don't get to control the emotion.
Emotions, yeah.
The only thing you get to control is how you deal with it.
Yeah. You basically rationalize your actions after that.
Yeah, and then you dumb down the emotion after you have rationalized whatever situation you were in.
I guess it's important that in that time frame, from the time you got triggered to the time where you rationalize, like don't do anything rash. Because that's where
if you can control your emotions.
But I guess the first step is that you recognize that actually you control you, not that person. Agree or no?
In theory.
Yeah.
But in practicality, tough lah.
Tough. I know it's tough lah, but theoretically it's like that lah.
Yeah lah, but theoretically a lot of things are correct lah. Practically, not everything is like that lah, right?
Yeah, that's true. Okay lah, so I guess that's all for today. We'll continue in the next podcast session. Okay.